And welcome back to another great episode of The Bud Brunch. I'm your co-host, Lucia.
And I'm your co-host, Ashley.
And you guys are tuned in to another great chapter of The Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis. In this chapter, we are focusing on some amazing women that have transitioned from corporate to the cannabis world. Now, Buzz, I have a question for you. You can head over to our YouTube and Spotify channel. That is The Bud Brunch.
On everything.
So go ahead and drop your answers in the comments. But why do you think women make a change from not only corporate to cannabis, but just corporate to either entrepreneurship or just career changes, period? What do you think the reason is? And if you have made a career change, also let us know.
I think it has a lot to do with our passions changing. Like, I feel like we go through such a transformation as women. So when you're younger, you might be passionate about whatever. When you get older, your tastes change. Or, like me, your parents could tell you that you need to be doing this, this, and that. And then when you get older, you have the right mind to do what really makes you happy.
Yeah, and also as a mom, too, I feel like your children go through different ages and stages where, I guess, your level of being there changes. And so sometimes when you have to be a little bit more present, you might want something a little bit more flexible, or where you have the control over your own time. So definitely change is necessary in certain situations for women.
For sure.
And you know what that reminds me of? A word for in cultivation.
What is that?
It would be to transfer.
Okay, tell me more.
When you're transferring your plants, usually it's when the roots need more room and space to grow.
Ooh,
so you want to transfer your plants from a smaller pot to something larger so that it can expand and it gives your plant an opportunity to produce and yield more. So as women go through their career changes, it is an opportunity for them to grow, and that they definitely are acquiring new skills and, just learning more about themselves as well within the process. So definitely transfer rings a good bell. And I think it speaks very well to our guest, Christina B. Johnson, who has done some great transferring, not only of her skills, but her community, to be able to expose them to all the wonderful things that cannabis has to bring to us. So I can't wait to talk to her.
Absolutely. I can't wait to dive deeper into it. I think it's going to be a fun episode. Are you ready, buds? Pour up.
Roll up.
Let's talk.
Welcome to the show, Miss Christina B. Johnson.
How are you feeling today?
Excellent. It was a good drive over here. Long drive.
Okay.
I grew up not too far from here.
Okay.
So I grew up in Fairfax Village, started out in Southeast DC. So
welcome back.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be home.
Yeah.
It's like a homecoming during homecoming season.
Right.
Absolutely. Now you brought us something in this. What is in your glass?
Glasses.
We've got multiple glasses. So I'm so glad you asked. This is one of the newest lines of gummies in the Maryland market. They're called Glow Gummies. That is my brand. So made by women and for women. This was a test run for both flavor profile and cannabinoids, even though we just went with THC in these. We're going to roll out some additional gummies with THCV and some other minor cannabinoids. But these are gummies. So this one is feeling punchy. I've got watermelon blush. No, this is actually watermelon blush. Feeling punchy, and then island vibes. So different flavor profiles for you all to test out and try out and see what you think about them.
Well, at the Bud Brunch, we love to try something out. And our What's in Your Glass segment allows us to do that. Love the packaging, by the way.
That's cute.
Thank you.
Very, very cute.
Terpene profile.
Go ahead, girl. Come on, cannabis.
All the things.
Science,
all the things I
love. And pharmaceutical graduate, let us know. So, but what do you see about any particular cannabinoids that speak to you? Matter of fact, let me get one.
Look, let me put my readers in right. Go ahead and
This
get
one
one.
is a simple THC product, and we will have minor cannabinoids in this next run. We will probably have them out at the end of the year in time for Christmas. So we're going to do one for energy that has a little bit of appetite suppressant. We're going to do, I told you, the THCV in there, and we're going to be doing one that is good to take before you want to go to bed.
I think the THCV women will be very interested in, because there was a study that came out recently and it talked about how it can actually help shrink your waistline.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of women are into these days.
Yep.
And it's a good energy booster too. Yeah, I love the packaging. So we'll check in with you later, Lucia, to see how you feel. But what are your initial reactions?
Yeah, well, I love how
the glow.
The packaging was accessible, which is great. I love the flavor. I chose the Island Vibes out of all of these because I love a good tropical flavor. I love a pineapple, coconut mix. So this is definitely giving that. I could see myself on the beach.
You're transported.
With some
She loves a good beach, honey. She's a beach baby.
Okay. As am I.
And then it's not a strong weed taste or like a infusion taste in there. Usually I feel like that is a big thing with gummies because I know some people like to use the concentrates or to infuse them. Yeah. And it's always got that aftertaste. Yeah. And the texture too. It's
good.
It speaks to gummy. It doesn't seem like this is something that's gonna melt in my car or just kind of lose its gumminess. It's really great. I love it.
Glad you like it.
I
Good.
do. So hopefully
we had a few runs of this. We did try. I'm a little particular, folks that work for me with agree with that. And so
you do a lot of R&D.
Oh, we sure do.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, if I'm not swallowing it comfortably,
no, that's right.
It's not in the market. You swallow it comfortably.
Yes,
for sure.
I did.
It gotta go down smooth.
It does. You know.
Did you just eat another one?
She's gonna have a good bug.
Yeah. So when Lucia just starts smiling from ear to ear, you know that it's kicked in.
She's glowing.
She's gonna be glowing.
She'll be glowing. Yeah. This was the whole concept.
The glow up.
It was the glow up for women. You know, this was supposed to be, and we're just, again, we're trial running the packaging. The logo we've got down, we'll keep that. But the idea was to be able to have something that was chic, almost like a quiet luxury, chic but easy to access and discreet.
I was just about to say that. This packaging is like
not loud.
It's not loud.
It's not cannabis, weed.
Right.
No.
But it's not also like, ooh, what is that? Where like, you know, maybe like my kids or somebody who might be like interested in.
It's not youthfully provocative.
Not at all. It definitely gives us grown women flow. Like if this fell out my bag, it wouldn't be like, oh my god. Like I could be real like just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
discreet and chic is what we were going for. So
is that the hashtag? Because that's
discreet and chic.
Hashtag discreet and chic.
It is.
Put it on a shirt.
It's in our marketing materials. We're working on it. You'll see when you look at your bag, sort of what's in there. Like we've got some taglines that are super cute. You'll see.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to see how you feel at the end of the episode.
I'm excited too.
As am I.
I'm excited. So tell us, Christina, just a little bit about yourself and how you got into the space. Like, because the topic is corporate cannabis. What were you doing before cannabis?
Yeah. So I thought the topic was interesting. I have you know I'm still in corporate.
Okay.
Right? I'm just in corporate cannabis. Okay. Because I run a business. I am still an executive. All of the same things I had to do in my previous roles as an executive, I have to do now. Like I'm still working on multiple software systems to analyze data. I'm still doing forecasting for models that are looking into a multi-year, projection. I'm still doing all of the same sort of back office hiring and retention strategy that I had in corporate America. So it's very similar, to be honest with you. We didn't skimp on branding or the way that we do our marketing. So it's still very corporate in some ways. But what I would say is this space is different in that I very much so am able to do good and do well. And because it's my company, I was able to design from the ground up sort of our mission, vision, and values. And that's a little bit different than what you get to do when you're just working in corporate America. So it's very much so, I would say, a mission-driven company, and I am a conscious capitalist.
I was about to say that. I saw that over and
conscious
over and
capitalist.
over. Conscious capitalism.
Yeah.
Do good and do well at the same time.
I mean, summarily, yes, and it's that you basically have in mind all of your stakeholders, not just your shareholders. So, you're putting profits are not coming before people. You're putting people first. You are being mindful of your team members. I'm cultivating consciously. I'm caring about the footprint that I have, the carbon footprint that I have. I'm caring about, how we're growing. Are we doing it in a clean way?
Yeah.
I care about my people, whether they feel respected in the workplace. Like that's really important. That was a value that came out of my household. You know, my parents were really big on respecting people, no matter what role they sort of played in your life, whether they were coming to pick up the garbage or serve you at the nearest, you know what I'm saying, food restaurant that you were going to, or secretary, anybody else working for you, or with you. And so, yeah, so conscious capitalism, there's a whole movement behind it. I won't go into it too deeply, but it's really the idea that all of the stakeholders that are in your ecosystem matter, and you're being conscious of them as you go about either selling your widgets or selling services, basically.
I think it was interesting that you touched on that you're still corporate, but you bought your skills from before you were in the cannabis industry to what you're doing. And for women who are watching this episode in particular, they are trying to figure out how to make that transition. So I think taking the skills that you already have and bringing it to, like, you're in HR, if you're in marketing, whatever you do, and bringing that over into cannabis is an easy way to transition into the space.
Yeah, I really love how you brought up too that, like, wait a minute, you didn't transition. You're doing corporate things just in the cannabis space.
It's a different industry.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do kind of make that separation because of the legal challenges that the plant has. It's still federally scheduled it's still federally listed as a Schedule 1 drug, which has a lot of limitations. And then, of course, the social stigma around the plant as well. So in making that transition into the cannabis industry, did you face any negative social stigmas? Were they kind of like projected on you in any type of way? Any friends, families, or other colleagues that were like, I don't think I want to mess with Christina anymore because she's doing drugs.
Yeah, I didn't, not at all, honestly. I think
that's a blessing.
Yeah, it was. I would say I didn't mention, and that was my fault, I didn't mention where I came from. So I came out of sort of affordable housing. You know, I was in affordable housing redevelopment. Yeah, and preservation for a long time. And then with my ex, we had worked in ground up redevelopment and urban infill and stuff like that. So no, I didn't have anybody say, I can't believe it, or don't want to deal with you. I didn't encounter that. I did have some people who were like, what? Like, you don't even smoke. I think that was the first thing. Most people say,
they were surprised.
Yeah, and I'm like, you don't have to smoke to be in this industry. And not just because there are a million other consumption methods, but you know, having a passion for something, or having a passion for the impact that something can have on the world around you, in your community, doesn't require that you indulge in that something. I mean, it helps you learn the product more if you do, but it doesn't prohibit you from doing good with the business that you're running.
And that's a good point. A lot of our viewers and listeners could be like, I don't even do this, but you're an example of you don't have to in order to want to get in the space and make an impact.
And to make it clear, I do consume, I just don't smoke. So I do consume, I don't smoke. But, you know, just, I don't want anybody to be like, Christina said she didn't consume. No, wait a minute. I don't smoke. I didn't say I don't consume. Yeah, okay.
I can imagine that a lot of people are also edibles and don't prefer the smell of smoking, or, you know, if you have COPD or something like that, you won't be inhaling. So what's your story? Why is it that you don't smoke?
Don't smoke? Yeah, so what I found in the couple of instances when I tried, the inhalation method really affected me. And so to be quite frank, I vomited. Like projectile vomited both times. I don't like to vomit. So I'm like, this is not for me. When I spoke with a scientist and a guy who was out at the University of Oregon about, Jay Noller actually, about sort of my reaction, you know, what we sort of landed on was it's very, very possible that one of the cannabinoids that I ingested and inhaled and was working in my system through the smoke inhalation method, that it upset my system and it just didn't react well with my body and our endocannabinoid system. So I didn't feel like I needed to test that out. 2 vomit episodes were enough for me. I mean, it's
one and done.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. Like, I'm not gonna be walking around smoking. Like, that's not my thing. I would have been doing it in private anyway. But I don't want to vomit anywhere, not outside, not in my home. So I just stopped, and that was okay for me. It was, I don't smoke cigarettes, don't smoke anything else.
And we have all these other ways to consume.
So many
and I think it's
modalities.
important for people to know that just because one method doesn't work for you doesn't mean that you can't get the benefits of cannabis medicine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are so many modalities, and I think people are really sometimes limited, and I think it's because of the stigma that you spoke to that we have, especially in our community,
Yes.
our being people of color, Black people in particular. I'm of mixed heritage, so I'm African American, but I'm also Cuban, white Cuban American is my mother. But in our communities,
little swirl.
but a whole lot of it. A lot of it. But it is hard for our people to shift from that older mindset of being bastardized for using or selling the product to total embrace by the rest of America at this point. 70%,
It's like, what you told me I couldn't do it. You told me it was bad. You put me in jail for it.
Right.
And now you can buy it and people are making billions and millions of dollars off of what you incarcerated me for.
It's hard for us to get out of that mindset. I mean, it is very difficult to break that trauma cycle. I mean, and I think that it was traumatizing. It was on the U.S. pharmacopoeia until like the 40s. And then it shifted, and all of a sudden it's like people are being bastardized, sort of demonized for using, for selling, for having any affiliation with the plant, and then we've had that for the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And
the PTSD from the war on drugs is real. I know when I started talking to my mom about consumption, all she could think of is that I had a family member, I won't mention who it was, they got arrested for selling drugs, and it wasn't until I told her I was getting a degree, because she loves degrees, that I was getting a degree in cannabis, that she was like, okay, maybe this is okay.
And that was an amazing story that you told, by the way. It's available, episode 1, the Bud Branch YouTube. It's about
Season 1.
Run that back.
Season 1.
I sometimes I struggle with saying it, but I very much so think that it's true. The story that you tell about your mother, it is, there are a lot of communities, I think, Asian children would probably say it's a very Asian thing when it comes to being educated and having degrees. I think a lot of immigrant communities feel that way, but it's a very Black thing too, especially if your parents are established, to assume that your children are going to go to college and get a degree, and that is acceptable and anything else is not. And I think that in large part it is the connotations that come along with cannabis hold Black people back in our industry. Absolutely. Black people quite often speak to publicly on stages. You all have heard them. You've heard them on podcasts. Speak to the fact that Blacks don't get funded in this space. Yeah. And it's not just in cannabis. It's in everywhere. We don't get funded anywhere. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. We don't even get loans for houses. We're redlined there too. So it's not unique to cannabis. However, it's really interesting because I think in cannabis, we're funded even less because we're not funded by our own people.
I will say that.
So Black people are not invested in because our people oftentimes don't invest in us. We oftentimes don't have discretionary income to invest, maybe, perhaps. But there's also this notion that like cannabis is icky and cannabis is, taboo. And, we have these circles, you're in the D9, I'm in the D9, where it's like, we don't talk about cannabis, but these are the same people chewing these gummies on Martha's Vineyard,
at homecoming,
taking trips, at homecoming, exactly. Their kids are using the product, but they don't feel comfortable speaking about it because it is still taboo in our communities. Yeah. And we're missing out because of that. I cannot tell you how many times that I reached out. Yeah.
Big time.
We are missing out huge. I've reached out to the D9 community and say, hey, I would love to talk to you all. I'm the first of X, Y, and Z. I'm doing this. Yeah. And people are like, oh, that's so nice, interesting. Boop, turn off. Well,
I wish I had known you. Yeah, we had a panel at National Cannabis Festival a couple of years ago, and it was D9 in the cannabis industry. And we just talked about how, as a collective, if we could educate just our members. First, we don't have to go beyond the community. Our members on the financial opportunities, the medical opportunities, just starting with us. But it's that stigma, like you said. A lot of our organizations are 100 years old. We're coming up on the centennial, and we still have those old roots and ways of thinking. Yeah, so
we can see that in our community in Maryland. We've got some very heavily concentrated old black communities in Maryland that are middle class, upper middle class, and those communities are very conservative on
Mhm.
cannabis.
Mhm.
You know, we've got a very supportive General Assembly and group of lawmakers, but generally speaking, you know, our communities are conservative
Yeah,
here
they are.
because they're not sure. Like, you know, we've got folks that are trying to redline out also like dispensary locations and these sorts of things. Unfortunately, are tethered to old ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Very old ways of thinking.
So how do you overcome that as a vertically integrated businesswoman?
Well, technically, my vertical integration will come when the MCA finishes approval on our processing.
We're speaking
Okay.
it into existence.
Yeah.
Coming.
So it's
Coming.
conditionally licensed. I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to say that anymore. They told me,
Oh.
but and I get it. That's fine. I
You took it
appreciate
back.
that.
Right.
We appreciate them
We're
tight
projecting,
regulating
okay?
everything.
She didn't say it.
Yeah, but that said, as an operator who will be able to sell through completely and have vertical integration quite soon, I think being frank with people, we do business with people that we like and we trust, and the more that you can engender trust by just being authentic and not having, this facade of, I think the more that people are comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And so if you straight shoot them, I think they'll understand, but it requires a lot of effort and it is exhausting. Like when you're one of 10 or one of 50 in America, I mean, we're talking about a large population. We got 7 million people in Maryland. If I'm one of one doing something, or two of 7 million, it is hard to get the message out. So it's tiring, but I do think, I was telling somebody earlier, this is not a labor of love, this is a labor of service. It really is, being in this industry. It's a labor of service.
Yeah.
So whether people appreciate it yet or not, what we're doing is forging the path for minorities in this space in a way that will not be changed. Like history is not going to forget it. So I think it's important.
Absolutely.
Now, I've heard in certain not certain markets within the cannabis space, like you say, it's not a labor of love, it's a labor of service, but there's not really much of a return on that. How's it going for you? How's it going for you? And what do you say to people that are like, I'm just here, I'm barely making it, but go cannabis.
So we originally talked at the
CBC.
Yes, at the CBC event where we were looking at the
Kiss My Grass screening. Yes.
Thank you so much. My brain is like frozen in time. Jesus. Right now, I definitely learned that. I'm a really be tongue tied. But yeah, the Kiss My Grass screening, and this came up in the film, and they highlighted it so discreetly. And the reality is, a lot of cannabis business owners are struggling financially to make ends meet. They are not profitable. We have MSOs that, quite frankly, if they paid their taxes, they wouldn't be profitable either.
She said if they.
Yeah, I mean, their 2026 is going to be a crazy year for finance, because a lot of people's loans are coming due. Like I would imagine that we'll see some consolidation soon. We'll see some folks liquidating assets soon. But the reality is, as a small entrepreneur, especially if you're managing your money carefully, you have the ability to be a little more agile, and you can run a little bit more lean. And you can choose to grow slowly. Like, we didn't grow fast, and that's just not what we're doing. We could have gone out and I could have slaved to get all of this money and grow outdoors so that I could indoors and have this amazing facility. But I chose to grow outdoors because I knew that there were social equity licensees in the market and on the processing side that needed biomass. And so rather than say, I really want to, retain all of this flower for myself and sell through, make all this money, the margins are larger if I sell through my store or other stores, but my product, I said, let me sell to them, because they actually don't have product. They're not going to be able to keep their doors open if they don't get the biomass or fresh resin that they need. And so I pivoted and I changed, but I'm smaller, so I can do that, and I can take a little bit of a haircut on the expected or potential, money that we could make. And it's about relationships. Again, this is a community, it's an ecosystem.
It is.
And so we're not feeding them, they can't feed us, and you never know the situation that you'll be in a year or 2 years from now, Yeah, I mean, who could have predicted COVID? Shit happens fast.
Right.
So sometimes you just have to
admit it.
Yeah, you gotta admit it. Yeah, and you gotta be a good player in the market. I mean, if you're in the sandbox and you have toys and nobody else has them, well, fucking share your toys.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't rocket science. You know what I mean? Like, share your toys so that they can play in the sandbox properly too. So, it's hard. It's not easy. We just broke even on one of the business lines. We just pulled down our first harvest on cultivation, but dispensary is we're right at break even.
Okay.
Until we can sustain for 3
I know,
months.
yes.
Cheers. Woo.
Absolutely.
This is great. Yes, cheers. So we are there. Once we sustain it for 3 months, I'll feel really good. But we're like at month numero uno right now. And in cultivation, I'm prayerful that we'll be able to make money and provide products that are good for folks. But this is no joke. This is a tough space. I think people hear from all over the place, you know, folks within the government too, who are like, this is an opportunity to build wealth and, you know, expand your legacy. And maybe it is. But it could not be too.
Yeah.
And it is definitely not. It sure as hell isn't overnight. Yeah. And if you're not a good business person outside of cannabis, you're probably not going to be a good one in cannabis either. Yeah. Like, if you haven't run a business outside of this space successfully, I mean, the chances of you coming into a new industry
and being successful.
And what? That's slim. Not to mention the fact this is a harder industry because you're more tightly regulated. Your taxes are more burdensome. So your profit margins are thinner. You know, you're talking about rather than any other industry, you're looking at a 30 to 35% effective tax rate. In cannabis, you're looking at 70-75%. Unless you
important to know.
Yeah, and so you're talking about instead of making 65% of your profit margin, you're talking about 35%, you know, or 30% or less. And then you still have to run all of the same costs through that model. You still have to pay taxes. You still have to, or not taxes, but you still have to pay for benefits. You know, you still have to invest in workforce development. Yeah. You have to have a good product, so you have to have proper marketing, distribution channels, logistics. There are all of these things. If you're not familiar with it,
you're gonna drown.
Dude, you're gonna drown.
Yeah.
So do you think it's unrealistic, like when they talk about these social equity programs of just give everybody a license, give people of color a license, like how practical is that and where does it work? Or have you seen it work? Now that's the question.
If you're not setting them up with
it work?
Proper resources.
I mean, even though still there's can you actually do a crash course of how to run a cannabis-based business, or like you said, coming in with those skills?
Can you run a crash course on how to run an alcohol business? Can you run a crash course on how to run a cigarette business? Or, you know what I mean? Or can you run a crash course on how to run an insurance company? No. You can't run a crash course on any of it. So to offer it is great. It can be of use and it can be resourceful for people. To expect that it is going to teach somebody how to do something.
And do it right,
and do it well.
And be successful.
Right and well and be successful, in my opinion, is unrealistic. And look, that doesn't mean that these things, these tools and resources that social equity licensees across the U.S. are given are not helpful. I'm not saying that, so I don't want nobody quoting me on that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you can't run a crash course and tell somebody how to successfully set up an insurance, a large, heavily regulated insurance business, or any other kind of business, what would make you think you could pop into a cannabis industry that's new, different in every state, hyper-regulated, more difficult to make money in because you can't raise easily because banks can't lend to you. You know, you're paying more in taxes. You can't market the same way, so it's harder to reach your consumer base. It should be even more successful. That's crazy talk.
So you have to question the sincerity of the programs themselves.
I think it's less the sincerity of the program and more comprehension of what's real. Like, I think it's hard. Look, lawmakers, and I say this all the time, and people get offended. I know at the last talk when we were at that viewing, we had somebody in the audience who took offense to something I said that works for the state. Listen,
hold on, run it back.
They took offense. I said what I said. I said that social equity, for me, the term is bullshit. I don't feel like there's going to be equity when you have infrastructure in place outside of our industry that is prohibitive, that's difficult for people of color to navigate. I don't care what you give people. Like, it's still going to be super difficult to navigate this space successfully. So I'm not saying that social equity doesn't work at all. Not what Christina said. Don't take that to no conversation, no chat group. Don't be telling nobody. That's what I said. That's not what I said. What I said is the concept is bullshit.
Yeah.
And it is well-intentioned bullshit, but still bullshit. And yeah, for sure. And no lawmaker is going to be able, you ask the question, who does this successfully? No lawmaker is going to be able to cook up this thing perfectly. This is iterative. The laws are changing in every state. Yeah. And, you know, every year you go through the assembly process. Yeah, the general assembly process. Some states, multiple times a year, you have regulations change. You know, federally, we're looking at laws shifting and changing. The administration is now openly talking about changing from a Schedule 1 substance on the Controlled Substance Act to 3. Yeah, you know, and all of these decisions have affects. You can't plan for this stuff fast enough, you know. Technology is changing. Culture is changing. We didn't have AI a few years ago on the top of our tongues and the top of mind. You know, for the last
on your phone.
30 to 50 years it's been being developed, but it wasn't mainstream. It wasn't a part of our conversation. It's now about to be an integral part of our lives. And so, like,
it is for me already.
You know what I'm saying?
I use it every day.
Yeah. That changes how you make formulas, right? How you refine formulas, how you design packaging. Design is changing by the minute. Canva came out of nowhere, right? Like the way that we make reels on the internet is changing fast. And those are just small ways in which it's changing our lives. But I say all that to say, with this rapidly changing environment, how do you think a static ass seminar for, you know what I'm saying, 2 days is about to teach somebody how to run a successful business? Right. I mean, I feel like that's a drop the mic situation.
No,
and I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying anybody isn't doing well or doing their best. If people take it personally, listen, I'm not talking about shit.
Well, that's because that's the narrative. Everybody come, let's do social equity. That's the answer. That's how we get ahead in this space again. And I am so happy to hear you come here and speak your truth, speak the truth, speak the obvious. That it doesn't make sense for and it's great, and I think that it works very well for this topic of the transition from corporate to corporate cannabis,
right.
Because there are people out there that are like, I saw this thing online, I saw this advertisement, they could teach me how to run a cannabis business, and I just, I work for somebody now. I've never ran anything. I just work for somebody. And again, not to say that you can't do it, but the reality is, as you said, it's very hard, but coming in with those skills, like the skills that you had, helped you to be where you're at today. Now, you're also a mom.
I am very much so.
Yeah, you are.
She had to take the glasses off for that one.
I take off my sweatshirt.
She said, I am, child.
I'm warm. See, I'm putting myself in a hot seat because I know people are going to be like, Christina said. So I'm like, shit, now I'm getting hot.
I think this is the first time we had somebody come out of layers on the bud branch.
Well, it is getting cooler, and it wasn't cooler, so now I have to adjust myself. That's why I do layers. It's all good. We got lights and stuff, so... All right, yes, being a mother.
Yes. And transitioning into this crazy space.
Yeah.
How did you balance that? Because of course when you transition, is your income affected, your time, all sorts of things.
Lots. Okay, so let me just say this. My daughter's 16.
And she's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you, Vivian. She's amazing. She's also an athlete. But there is a lot of demand when you're a mother on you. When you're a mother, there's a lot of demand on you when you're starting a new business. We hear like Emma Good talking about, we hear so many people talking about how to balance. I haven't struck the right balance. Like, I'm trying to figure things out. I have routines for trying to ensure that at the end of the day, my nervous system winds down. Doesn't always include cannabis. Most of the time it doesn't actually. Like I take hot baths every night. I mean, I clean off, shower, then I take hot baths, or vice versa. I'll take a bath and then a shower just to rinse off. But like, I need these little rituals so that I can reset my nervous system because it's stressful. In the morning, I tend to drink tea. Every single morning I drink tea.
Same.
That's one of the products that we're going to try to come out with Glow. We're looking at teas, morning tea that will help you energize and stay focused throughout the day. And then one for the evening. This is all about self-care. Like, these products that we're coming up with through Glow are about self-care, especially for women. Working women in particular, people that are juggling a lot of different things. So as a mom, I'll tell you, you know, the conversation was easy. I just was honest with my daughter. I will say, I got a funny story. So I will tell this story. Like, you know, my kid was in elementary school and they had a career day, and I'm quite sure that I was not their first pick.
Right.
and somebody was like, "Oh, Christina, can you do it?" And it was a friend of the principal who I love. She's adult too. I love her. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course," because they were scrambling. They need to find somebody they know I'm willing to do anything. And I'm like, I wonder if she knows kind of what I do for a living. You know, she knew I was an entrepreneur and I ran a company. I think that was the extent of it. So I show up and I'm like, I'm ready to present. And the whole time I was talking about plant-based medicine. So I never said cannabis, weed, no, with marijuana. Y'all, I got more than 100 letters from parents and kids who were excited about my cannabis company. Because those kids knew exactly what I was talking about.
They
the
knew
parents knew, where's the store at? Like, you know, we heard about your plant-based business.
I love that.
So, like 100. The kids were drawing pictures. Yeah, and they didn't know. Most of the kids, they didn't know. But, like, they were drawing pictures of plants and, like, potting plants and medicine and stuff, like little pills. It was super cute. They digested the information. So, I would say it wasn't a hard transition in terms of educating my kid, because I'm very transparent. Like, we're very close, my daughter and I, because I've been a single mom for so long. But that said, it is, you know, I miss stuff. Like, I don't miss any games anymore. I never miss our games. But, like, I used to miss, like, tryouts or practices and stuff like that. I'm always there for her, though, when it comes to the things that matter to her. And so I don't know. You just have to prioritize and make a decision about what you want to do and do that.
I know that's right.
I take her places too. I mean, she's accustomed. When I was even in the real estate sector, I sat on a lot of boards and was in leadership positions then. I used to take her to board meetings as a little one. And my mother did too. She was in a high profile job. Yeah. So Vivian used to just be laying up under the table, or she'll sit at the board table and color. She was a, you know.
You do what you have to do.
Yeah. And you learn how to behave in those settings. So she's seen that. I saw this article recently about children of entrepreneurial mothers. And it forecasted that those kids somehow, it spoke to the children of those types of mothers are more successful in life. Like, I can imagine more successful. Yeah, I hate to say this and not be able to cite the source. I can look it up, but I think that that's true, because they see a work ethic early. Yeah.
They actually see you in action, as opposed to you leaving and going to work, and coming home, separate environment, right, and then coming back home and maybe hearing about it. I think they can, you know, create their own idea of what you're doing at work, but to see you in action, especially to watch you like negotiate things with people, like that those communication skills. Absolutely. Watching you be defeated.
Absolutely. I was gonna say that. Watching
picking yourself back up.
Yeah, watching me cry from exhaustion. You know, you talked about, you know, could I work? In Maryland, we had to have, like, I think below a certain percentage of the area median income in order to qualify for the round I first came through. So I couldn't have an income above $68,000. I couldn't find work. I had been a CEO before that and a COO before that.
You're not gonna find anything.
People were looking at my resume like,
right, what do you want to do?
We don't need you at Target. You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about, lady? Get out of here. And you're not going to stay, you know, because they care about retention in their business too. So for them, it's like, this doesn't make sense. I then had to go out and do consulting work. So I had to sell myself, but then I could only stay, you know, at a certain income level. And $60,000, I don't know where your viewers are. Yeah. Man, what? You're not
It's hard to survive.
Off of $60,000, I was fortunate. I had a fiance at the time that helped finance sort of our living conditions. Thank God. And then I just paid for Vivian's school and other things in our home, but like our house he paid for, but it was still rough. I mean, Vivian's school was at the time like $30,000, you know, and so it was very expensive. It was tough. That was a choice. Obviously, we lived in a county where we could send her to public school, but that was not my choice, you know.
Right.
So it was a very difficult time, and Vivi saw all of that. Like, I was working out in the basement. I sold some of my investment property, to fund the business, but I was on thin ice, and my ex and I ended up breaking up, and our whole household changed again. My mother ended up living with us to help, you know, offset some of the expenses, but that's the sacrifice. Y'all live with y'all moms? No. Right. Can you imagine? Right. Can you viewers and listeners imagine living with your mother, you know, day in and day out?
As an adult.
Man, what?
Because she's still your mom.
She's
gonna mom you,
Girl,
even though you're grown.
She gonna mom you and everybody else. My mother's
Right.
Cuban. She momming everybody. She momming the mailman. She momming the guy that's cleaning our gutter. She momming my daughter. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is my kid.
Right.
But like, you have to navigate all of that, and it's complex, but you learn how to make sacrifices. And I think to your point, you know, the most important thing that Vivian probably could have seen is me fail and then be resilient and get back up.
Absolutely.
You know, have fortitude and be the person that could be gracious in spite of or despite everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Those are lessons that I think as women we have to see. We gotta see failure because that's when you get stronger. And
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
See it, experience it, absolutely.
Yeah, see that it doesn't break you. Like, little girls need to understand they can fall flat on their face.
Right.
They can wipe off their nose like this, get the blood off, and then keep it moving, you know. And oftentimes we're not taught that. We're forced into that, but we're not taught like it's possible. And you know, I talked to my daughter about it. Like, I'm like, it's been hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hurting. I feel alone at times. It's a lonely space when you're running something. And there are very few peers that can completely relate. Hope is a great one. We're very close. Wiseman, who's over at Mary May. And there are a lot of other formidable women in the sector, but she and I have a special relationship. But it's still very lonely. And I think she would say the same thing, quite frankly. It's just a lonely space. And as a woman, that's something
it's even lonelier, right?
It's even more lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a mom, it is difficult. Very difficult. Okay. All right.
Well, we're glad that you have made it into this space and are doing as well as you are doing. Tell us a little bit more about these products, because I know we've had the gummies. What are in the boxes?
And don't forget the one that's in R&D. That was really important for our listeners.
Okay, so I wanted to, originally I wanted to come into space. I wanted to be a licensed owner. I didn't even know what that meant. Didn't know how to get there. That's a whole nother story about how did I get into this space. But, I didn't know necessarily what I was doing, but my background was in strategic marketing and communications. And I had a significant amount of work in the government, sort of lobbying and advocacy space as well. So those were my two areas of, I think, strength in many ways. And I studied in grad school organizational development. So I had enough, training in certain areas to bring some value to a company when it was being built. But I thought about sort of where there was a hole in the market. And in terms of consumerism, I didn't feel like there were a lot of women smokers necessarily. There are, but I didn't see that growing up. I didn't see a whole bunch of women walking around smoking blunts, or smoking pre-rolls either. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see that. That's just not what I saw.
Or a bouquet.
Right. You didn't see any of this stuff. And like in certain communities, especially in the professional sort of setting, and in I would say certain communities, certain settings, and certain socioeconomic groups, you're definitely not going to see it because smoking was frowned upon, no matter what you were smoking, right? Especially cigarettes, but like any kind of smoking just wasn't seen in certain communities as
being
feminine.
a woman,
definitely
stigmatized.
Even more so,
and a professional too.
Absolutely,
you
smoke, exactly. So I was like, you know what? There's got to be another opportunity for women in particular, because I'm a woman. That's what I care about in particular. Like for women, for women to be able to consume, because there are all of these benefits that this plant offers.
Absolutely.
And so I got to thinking, and I was convinced that it would make sense to come out with a line of products that was tailored for women. And so, we wanted to break into the market before we got the processing license up and running. And we started with something that everybody could use. And so we started with vapes and gummies. Those were a little bit easier to market and to come into the market with. We've got Boma vapes that are coming down the pipe. Then we've also got the gummies that are coming out soon that have the minor cannabinoids in them, so that they're much more tailored to effect.
Yes.
Rather than just sort of being lifted in mood and spirit, and you
kind of tailor how you want to feel, what effect you want to get, the benefit that you want to get, based on the cannabinoid and the terpene profile.
Absolutely, and the combination of cannabinoids, because we want the entourage effect and the benefits of those. So those are two products that were, obviously in the market with. The Boma Vape will be dropping later this year. But
what is Boma Vape for people that don't know?
So, let me come back to that. Okay. That'll take a little bit of explanation for folks. but the carts that we have out now, different flavor profiles, different terpenes, different effects than the gummies. Obviously, I think we've got a glow getter, which is to keep you up and lifted. Yeah, so we've got a hybrid. I think we've got a sativa, and I think we've got an indica also. But we also will have suppositories. So this is one of those things, right? Like, not everybody knows what a suppository is. It's like one of the first brands I worked on when I was at Johnson & Johnson, right? This is throwback.
Wow. You worked for them? Oh, yeah, you're really
for sure.
Ready.
Like, I was looking at
made for this industry, honey.
I worked on the first multicultural marketing campaign. So they were not targeting multicultural audiences until I worked on this team. Let me say this. Until we developed this team, there was no strategic intent behind their marketing. It was like, black person, put them on a plastic bag, put them on a box, put them on whatever, but like no strategic intent behind it. So we were on the first multicultural marketing team, and I worked on Imodium. Okay, so I was like, there's Tylenol, Motrin, Imodium, Nizoral. I don't remember what other brands we had, but Imodium was a big joke, right? Because it's all about like digestion, and so you have, you know, farting and diarrhea, all these other things, all of the stuff that you're talking about. Nobody wants to talk about. And I would say the same for like these suppositories, because you're literally sticking up something in your behind, right? You've got the thin lining tissue there, but it absorbs quickly. And listen, women need to understand the efficacy of these products. Like, we have a formula we're working on right now. It will knock out your period cramp pain.
Say it again.
Yeah, it will knock out. It will like eliminate period cramp pain. It's so effective. And this, I mean, when we think, especially, you know, 30 to 50 somethings, you know, or even 20 somethings, there are people who are suffering from menstrual cycle pain. It prevents them from working. It prevents them from walking upright. It makes you exhausted. The pain is exhausting. It's wearing down on your system. And as a woman, there just are very few products that are tailored to you in that space, in the cannabis space, that you can consume. But the suppositories, it hits right there, like your pelvis area, absolutely. So the pain is alleviated, if not at least lessened significantly. And then we also have, you know, our joints are changing as we get older, whether it's because
hips don't lie.
It's because of how, you know, how we're wearing our weight now and how we're walking. And as we get older, our knees hit differently, you know, the hip joints, people have sciatica and things like that. This product can actually help alleviate the pain from those ailments as well. And there is data and research to back it up before the MCA says this is an advertisement. I have no data. I got that too. Let me just clock that. I have that, ma'am. But there are other products that we're looking at, like the teas that are designed for women. And we want people to be able to consume, again, discreetly. Put your little tea bag and your little water. You can drink it at the office. The tea is tasty. It makes you feel good. You can focus and concentrate. You're not falling asleep at the wheel. You know what I'm saying?
And you're integrating it into a way that people are already using products.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to tell someone in a consultation to smoke a J if they've never smoked in their life. I'm not going to tell you to eat a gummy that's sugary if you're diabetic, but it's tea.
Yes.
If you drink tea every morning anyway, go ahead and put your little glow tea bag in there.
Yes.
Get your dose of cannabis and go about your day.
Yeah.
So I love that it's so diverse in the methods of consumption.
It is.
And that suppository is gonna change the game.
I really think it's important. I really think it's important for us to try. And I really feel like women can move these products and will change the stigma around it. Like, I think that we are.
It starts with the mothers.
We birth.
Yep.
We birth ideas. We birth opportunities. We just birth. And so if we can embrace something that really serves us well, I think the products will speak for themselves and be profitable, but it will serve our community. And that's what I care about. The other product, and this is the last one that we're looking at right now and doing some R&D on, is a breath spray. So basically it's small, it's discreet, but it's like a mint. You know how you were younger. So you like, you know, it's like, but it's going to be like a mint spray, and then we'll probably do seasonal sprays. So it'll be like an apple cinnamon for the fall and stuff like that. But basically that is one of the products. And I'm like, you can use that in the workplace. That's not offensive.
Anywhere. And it runs straight into your bloodstream.
Absolutely.
It bypasses that first fast metabolism. And I go into like different methods of consumption on my blog. You can check that out on cannabisashley.com if you want to dive deeper into it. But the fact that you have all these methods of consumption
We love
That's
that.
insane.
Yeah.
And you know we love us a good
That's
can of
insane.
cocktail and the bud brunch. So we are gonna be
We can
excited for that
spread it right in
tea.
there.
Yeah.
And the tea too.
The
To
tea
have
as
a
well. Little tea with
party.
Ashley.
Yes.
Yes, we do
Yes.
tea party next.
Oh, we have to get together on that brunch and a tea party. All of that.
Yeah.
The bud brunch.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Within the regs, of course, since we
Of course.
can't do events. Yes.
All above board.
Yes,
all above
yes,
board,
yes,
of
yes.
course.
Individual consumption.
Well, we are at the favorite part of our show.
Yep.
Our Puffer Pass.
Yes. So Puffer Pass is one of my favorite segments.
Okay.
It's where I give you the choice between two different options, and you have to tell us which one you're puffing on and which one you're passing to the left.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. So your first Puffer Pass
Puff.
is
Okay, no, seriously, I'm taking it seriously.
puff or pass.
Mhm.
Movies while high or music while high.
Okay. Puff on music, pass on movies.
Okay. And what do you listen to when you're elevated, when you're
Who's on that
relaxing?
Yeah, so I like Snow Allegra. I like her a lot.
I like her. And Your
I like
Eyes is
her.
one of my favorite.
Yes,
That
I like
one.
her a lot. I like Leon Thomas.
Okay.
I like
Soulful.
I do.
Mhm.
I like Jill Scott.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I can listen to a lot of artists. I loved D'Angelo. God rest his soul.
Rest in peace.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I'm into neo soul, but I can listen to just. I'm not listening to nobody's heavy metal and stuff like that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
doing that vibe.
A little country, okay though.
I like bluegrass.
Okay,
actually.
a little bluegrass.
I like bluegrass music. I like soul. I like jazz. I like blues. But no, I don't want anything. I don't want pop anything. I don't want. I want things that are going to be soothing to my soul.
Got you. And when you're lifted, especially.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Up next, Puffer Pass. We talked about your tea in the morning and your gummies at night. So Puffer Pass, wake and bake or nightcap?
Nightcap,
Nightcap.
for
So
sure.
relaxing.
Yeah.
After a
puff
long
on
day.
that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a morning person, so I jump up ready to go.
Oh.
I wake up and I'm like, the sun is out.
Right.
Let's go
It's time to
every
go.
morning. Yeah, I've
That's
never
right.
had a hard time getting up and being thankful for waking up.
Yes.
And I'm a sleeper too, so I don't really need sleep aids, but like, I'd rather wind down
At the end of the
than
night.
wind up.
Take one of those long hot blasts. you
Yeah,
were talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
All right, and our last one, Puffer Pass. Morning session or morning meeting?
What kind of session?
Okay, my bad.
I think we might need to specify.
Morning sesh, morning cannabis sesh, or morning
Because that could lead
meeting.
to different sessions. Okay. Let's see. I think it depends on who I'm with and where I'm at,
Okay.
right? Because if I'm gonna pass on the morning meetings. I like to come into my day slow and intentional.
Okay.
You know, if it's a meeting with someone else, I want to make sure their energy is on. I don't like energy to be off, and then I have to meet with somebody. So I would take a meeting with somebody I really want to talk to in the morning.
Yeah.
No one else. As it relates to puffing or passing on the morning sesh, I could be convinced that would be a good idea.
Okay. So we puffing on the sesh.
Yeah,
Okay.
we could definitely, we definitely do that.
Well, that was Puffer Pass, where there are no wrong answers, just real ones, and you definitely passed the vibe check.
Yes.
So now it's time to check in back with What's in Your
how are
Glass
you
Part
feeling?
2.
Yeah.
I'm over here glowing and
Just relaxing a little.
floating up in the Mediterranean Sea right now.
Okay.
And I'm working on my tan
Yes.
and also Season 3 of the Bud Brunch.
Yes.
It's all coming together.
Yes.
That part I love.
But I absolutely love this. I love the way that I feel. Like, I'm not like sluggish or tired, but if I took a nap, I know it'd be a good one.
Okay.
Deep in.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It
relax.
wouldn't be something that like is forced or anything like that. And you know, for me, I didn't start doing edibles until the 2016 when DC like legalized and people were like, oh yes, we.
Right.
So I never really appreciated like what it could do for you, but like for me, my mood, I could have probably used one of these yesterday.
Yeah, she could have. She absolutely could have.
My mood is crazy. So like, it's not crazy, but it can get like, I can kind of be set off easily, and this really helps. Like this stuff, this helps. I know I'm gonna be like level-headed coming into a situation, especially if I know it's one that's going to be like, you know, little contentious. Then we can.
So for our post meeting, this is great. When we have to have our meeting,
take a little bit of that, and again, the taste too. I'm still not like there's still not no aftertaste or like a weed taste just sitting on my tongue or anything like that. I actually still have that tropical flavor in my mouth,
nice.
And I'm
that's impressive.
I'm obsessed. So definitely, where are these available?
So they're in, I think, 10 stores right now throughout really Montgomery County. I think one in Prince George's County and a couple in the Baltimore area stores. Okay. We just started selling the product. We're going to be going much broader and wider in coming months. So you can find them at a number of stores. I do have them on my website though. Yeah. If you look at the Forest, they're also in our store at the Forest in Baltimore. Okay. I'm trying to think. The nearest one to here is probably in Silver Spring.
Well, our listeners are all over, so the Forest in Baltimore. Okay. So if they want to come and support your business, that's your dispensary.
Yes, it is, and we would love to have folks there. We have an incredible team at the Forest. If you look at our Google reviews, I think it is absolutely reflective of how people feel when they come into our store. It's light, it's airy, it's supposed to help you relax. You know, you can kind of hear birds chirping. The design was, it was supposed to
be. So we have to make a trip down to Baltimore.
Y'all have to come.
Down to Baltimore.
Yeah, it feels like a little forest when you come in, but all of our team members are extraordinarily trained. They're really smart. We've got 2 people that came out of the program that you came out of. The master's program. They're just great people. Like they're really good people, and they really want to help. And you can see that in our reviews because people are like, I love going in there. I love talking to this person and this person, and they know their bud tenders by name. Yay. You know, it's a good vibe. We've got great pricing. We've got surface parking, ma'am. I don't like bad parking. I'm not about to be walking around no corner, no blocks. Right. No, I need to pull up right in front of the shit that I'm going to. Go hop out my car. Right. Yeah, we have curbside too, which is nice. But I think it's a good experience, so you guys should try it out, and I hope that your listeners do too. And for first-time customers, we give 30% off for all first-time customers. Yes. 30. Yeah. Can we get we might need a little coupon code or something for our buds. Have it. I bought coupons. Yeah. Oh, nice. So I do have, there isn't a code. I just actually have the coupons, and if people take them in, they get it off. Well, if you go to the Forest, make sure you tell them that the Bud Brunch sent you. Yes. But before we get away from that,
I was supposed to say, and make sure
how many cheers?
I will definitely give this a 5 cheers.
5 out of 5.
Excellent.
Gummy. So thank you for providing that for our What's in Your Glass segment.
Yeah.
We had so much fun today. I feel like we could just keep going on and on and on and on because you're just such a phenomenal person. I think that those great reviews on Google speak to your leadership. I was watching something that when you were talking about, you know, how you run your house and, you know, you called it your house, like your business and everything. And pretty much and how you're treating people and how that matters.
I'm trying.
Instead of just selling a product, like you're selling even more than that. So like I said, that just definitely speaks to that. And where you have the Forest? Yes. What was the website? I know you said products are available on the website as well.
It is the Forest. Let me see just to confirm because we changed our URL, and I want to make sure
we get the right information. Well, those links will definitely be available. So if you check us out on YouTube and Spotify, that is the Bud Brunch
on everything.
You can definitely check that link out and find out where you can get these amazing products. Is there social media too?
Yeah, so it is the Forest MD on Instagram. Okay. And then the website is theforestdispensary.com. The Forest Dispensary. Yeah. And Standard Wellness is obviously the overarching company, and it's standardwellness.com.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much again, Christina, for joining us. And thank you, Buds, for tuning into this chapter of the Bud Brunch, where I feel that we're going to change it. We're going to do from corporate
to corporate cannabis.
corporate cannabis.
Okay, from corporate to corporate cannabis. Because she says she's still corporate, honey.
Yes,
I said I am still
very,
corporate.
very much still corporate. And still doing her thing. And you too can also make that transition into that, just keeping in mind the reality of the industry, and making sure that you bring some strong skills into the space to be able to build and grow. But most importantly, never forgetting who you are and where you came from. So I think you spoke very well to that. So thanks again for tuning in and joining us. Ashley.
Absolutely. This was our installation of the Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis. And that's it for this Sesh Buzz. Thanks for vibing with us.
I'm your co-host, Lucia.
And I'm your co-host, Ashley. And this is the Bug Brunch, where we do it for the culture,
For the community.
for the conversation.
Until next time.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Ebony Wheeler with Brown Eye Girl Yoga. Tune in to Season 2 of the Bug Brunch on YouTube and Spotify.